4 mistakes that a lot of beginner lifters make when they start first going to the gym. Now, personally, I did all these mistakes when I first started out. And you probably did too, or you're still doing them. You might not even know. And I get it. When you first start out, you don't really know anything about lifting, going to the gym, proper exercises, because nobody taught you. School didn't teach you. In my opinion, the physical education in the school should actually do this, but you're learning to play fucking volleyball or some shit. Useless. So you go on YouTube and you find the most popular videos. Maybe you watch some F1X, just the videos that have the most views. And a lot of the times, the information is very conflicting, it's wrong information, it's bro science, all that stuff. And you have no idea how to judge the information. You don't know anything. This one guy could be saying do this other guy says do that, and you have no idea who's correct. Even their conflicting information. Maybe you think, yeah, I'm just gonna do what the biggest guy says I should do, or if he says the most sciencey stuff and puts up the most graphs in his videos, that's what I'm gonna do. But you have no idea what you should be doing. And there's now really any resources to teach you like the core fundamentals. So, why should you believe me? Well, I have been going through the same thing that you went through. I first really didn't know who to trust, what to do. I made a lot of mistakes. I did everything I could do. I tried everything out until I discovered that there are actually people who talk about this stuff and they cite like actual studies and don't just like misinterpret them. They understand biomechanics, and when they tell you why you should be doing a certain thing, they can prove it with logic and reason, and you look at it and you understand, okay, right, this makes sense. And you realize it's not really that complicated. It's just being made complicated by people who want quick attention and want to tell you this brand new exercise that you need to do to get some views. Now, I'm gonna tell you a few 4 core points that a lot of beginners I see doing wrong, and I'm gonna tell you how to do them right. And if you follow these, you have a good basis for judging information, because if someone tells you stuff that's very conflicting with these core fundamentals, then you probably can't trust them and what they're saying. And if you have these core fundamentals, even if you then get some information that's wrong or you just didn't do your research or whatever, it's not that bad, because if you follow these, you're gonna make progress anyways. So let's get right into it. The first one, not training hard enough. Now, you probably heard people tell you, this is like a very common thing that people say, that beginners don't train hard enough. And I want to just get a little bit more in depth on this. There are some people who say that training to failure is not good, because then on the subsequent sets you're going to be too fatigued, and they say you have to do they tell you just do 3 for 12 for 3 sets. If anyone tells you, prescribes you do 3 sets of 12, bullshit. If you can do 12 reps with the weight, and then on a second set you can do 12 reps again, you didn't train hard enough. You should be fatigued enough from the first set that on the second set you do maybe 1, 2, 3 reps less, or you even have to drop the weight. You really want to go to failure on most of your sets. If you're a complete beginner, you shouldn't do this, but after 3 months of training, you definitely can go to failure, and you should. This will make the highest progress. The studies, the science is very, very clear on this. There are still studies that are coming out that tell you that going to failure is very good. There used to be a study that said that they had this graph that showed the efficiency, the rate of muscle gain with correlating with the going to failure, and they said that after 3 RIR, right, so 3 reps in reserve, the improvement to 0 RR isn't that big. But even that study has been proven wrong, and it is very clear in the science that going to failure and going even past failure with partials is absolutely beneficial, and everyone should do it. Now, going to failure every time is gonna, with high volume, is gonna lead to overtraining at some point. So programming in a deload can be efficient, and I would recommend doing deloads. But for most people, the problem is not that they're training too hard, that they're training not hard enough. So you need to go to failure. Secondly, improper technique and tempo. Now this ties into the first one as well, because there are people who say, okay, I'm going to failure, I'm doing these hard sets, but they use improper technique. Towards the end of the set, their technique breaks down and they use a bad tempo. They go like very fast on the eccentric, they just swing in the weight, and sure, they might reach failure, but these are very poor technique, low quality rep. The motor unit recruitment is low, which motor unit recruitment basically equals muscle gain. So what you want to do is you want to keep your technique standardized. So this might mean dropping the weight at first to get your technique right for maybe a couple of weeks, and really dialing in your technique so that every rep technique-wise looks the same. This is really important. And then you want to get your tempo right. Now your concentric, so when you push the weight up, this can vary. You can just on the first reps go as fast as possible. It doesn't matter. On the last few reps, you're gonna slow down naturally because you can't exert that much force anymore. But your eccentric, so the lowering of the weight, should always, and I mean always, even on the last few reps, be the same, about 2 to 3 seconds. And you should incorporate pauses. So usually on exercises that are the hardest in the bottom, you wanna pause there. Really milk that position. This is where the most resistance occurs. So you wanna, when you're doing free weights and even when you're doing machines, it should look like you're a robot, right? Right? That's what you're gonna have to do. This is really important. This is gonna elevate your training from hard and going to failure to really hard and really effective. You wanna get the most out of your sets as possible. And number 3, when you get the most out of your set as possible, you don't need a lot of volume. There have been videos that prescribe volumes from anywhere between 10 to 20 sets. And then what I used to think was, all right, I want to get as much muscle as possible. I'm going to do 20 sets for a muscle group per week. Until I realized that when I did this, I couldn't train very hard. I couldn't go hard on these sets. And when I did go very hard on the first set, the following sets were really bad and I couldn't really do anything. The technique was going to shit because I just didn't have any force in me anymore. So the principle shouldn't be to do as many sets as possible, as much volume as possible, but to get the most amount of stimulus you can get with the least amount of volume. So I would even go below 10 sets on a few muscle groups actually. What you want to do is you want to keep the sets low. I have a good recommendation. You should have only really 2, maybe 3 sets per exercise, and then keeping the exercises low. When you feel like you're doing a workout and during the workout the quality of your sets is dropping down drastically, you need to lower your volume. And lastly, redundant exercises. When you see a lot of YouTubers, they make their workouts and they just try to put like as many exercises for a muscle in there, as many new exercises to get the clicks. And you might not know this, and you might not have a very good understanding of the biomechanics and what the muscle actually does. So you just do like follow these exercises, you put so many exercises into your workout, and at the end of the day, you don't need that many exercises. Now with this point, I can't really like explain this in this video because it would be too long. But what you need to understand is that every muscle has a few functions, a few ranges of contraction, and those you want to cover. But you never want to have repeating exercises in the same workout that repeat the same purpose. And now for this, you can watch my leg day video that I did, where I explain like a structure of the leg day. I will be doing those videos on push days and on pull days and on like all the different muscle groups as well. Explain to you exactly what you need to do, what the muscle does, and so you can understand the biomechanics. But just look out for exercises that seem very similar. Like don't do bench press at the start of your workout and then do chest press at the end. That's redundancy. You don't need that. Split them between 2 workouts or just ditch one. So that's it for today, guys. Those are the 4 most important mistakes that I see, and if you're gonna fix these, you're gonna improve your workout drastically. Like, comment, subscribe, guys.